Hello beautiful people, Carl here from Games, Brains and Headbanging Life, gbhblofficial.com for short, and it is the state of things. You know how this goes, a weekly check-in, a chat, me just sitting here waffling on, sometimes severely waffling on about all the things that are going on in my life related to the website, personal life, professional life, all that usual nonsense. What have I got this week, tea-wise? It's a favourite. I'm sure I've shown you this one before, but it's Moroccan. I was put up to the microphone as if you could hear it. It's Moroccan mint. It's Moroccan mint. Ow, ow. Just burn my hand slightly trying to hold it. But yeah, Moroccan mint from Dragonfly Tea, organic green tea. Brisk gunpowder green tea with naturally sweet spearmint. Really, it's my favourite one. I think it's probably, yeah, it is my favourite one. Absolutely love it. That is the best one I enjoyed the most, and so that's what I'm having today. It's lunchtime, Saturday, 1 o'clock, just gone 1 o'clock actually as of the time of this recording, and I've not had time to do this at any other point this week, so I'm having to leave it to very much last minute, so we're definitely not going to go very long today, says now. I've said that a few times in the last couple of weeks, haven't I? But as I'm planning to not go very long at all, purely because I need to get this up, and then I need to get myself to the Electric Ballroom for later on today. Yes, it's another gig. I'm going to see Call Me a More. Well, actually, the gig is set it off as a headliner, but I'm there under a press thing to review Call Me a More, and I'm probably only going to do Call Me a More tonight. It's a rare one where I don't have the time, I don't have the energy or the interest to see the rest of the bands on the bill. So I'm going to go there, I'm going to watch Call Me a More, and then I'm going to leave and come home and write that review, go in depth on Call Me a More set because I'm a fan of them. I do rarely do that, I'll be honest. Even when I'm there for a support band, I do like to do the whole show. Of course, from a writing perspective, it gives you more to go on. But yeah, just sometimes an occasion, just life catches up with me. And I'm off now for a few days. And I'm actually off for a few days. And what I mean by that is I don't have any plans around it outside of tonight. Tomorrow's Sunday, then I've got Monday off, and then I go back to night shifts on Tuesday. So I've got a significant chunk of time, and I plan to use that time basically to try and catch up with a lot of tasks, because this past week has been very unstructured, very, very messy, and it all kind of stems from a series of February gigs built around my time off that meant I never really felt like I stopped. And I'm not complaining. I'm very grateful to have these opportunities to be able to go and see these bands and enjoy live music and do it around my job and stuff like that. But it still takes a lot of effort, particularly in my job. I think I told you before a few weeks ago, the entire month of February has been cover week for me at work. And what cover week is where it's sections on our roster where we don't know our duties in advance. We'll only get them 28 days in advance because you are cover. It's exactly what it sounds like, covering people who are absent, people who are off sick, people who are on annual leave, vacancies, which we have many of across our two areas. But what's particularly interesting about Cover Week is that call it interesting, is that you buddy up with your sister station or brother station. In my case, being on the Leytonstone area in the Central Line, it's the Mile End area, which is Mile End and Bethnal Green. The guys down there are great, guys and girls down there are wonderful people, and I like the stations, and I don't mind working there. But obviously it means, well, we're going to have to go down and cover some shifts, the manager's shifts as well, because as supervisors, we can also cover them. And that's what I've been doing this past week. I've ended up at Mile End covering some of the duties down there. And it's meant it structures my week quite heavily. And that kind of led on from last week. I told you I had Sugar Horse last Saturday, which was an excellent show. It was a well-attended show. It was a shame to not see it like a sold-out show, particularly at the Grace, but I get it. You know, I know a band like Sugar Horse, and on that night when there's lots of other music going on around the world, isn't for everyone. But those who came, I think, had a great time. I kind of made a point of get myself right to the front of the stage, just so I could really, I've never done that before, so it's very, very cool to be literally right in the front and hear a lot of this music played. So close, so loud. So I'm transfixed to what I'm watching. I'm loving what I'm absolutely hearing. It was a fantastic gig. I really, really enjoyed it. Then after that, I went on to two nights, Sunday and Monday. And they weren't my original duties, but I did that. A colleague swapped with me, so I could basically have Tuesday off. I needed Tuesday off because Pantera were playing in London, and I wanted to go see Pantera. So you can see already. I went from gig Saturday, straight back to work Sunday night. And you say, oh, it's a night shift, but bear in mind, all day Sunday I'm just waiting to go to work, and then I'm up all night Sunday, and then when I get home Monday, I finally go to sleep, and I don't sleep well. I think I got maybe 4 or 5 hours sleep before I'm back up Monday, to then go to night shift again that night, and then Tuesday morning I got in, went to sleep straight away, slept to about 1 o'clock, got up, quick cup of coffee, dressed, cleaned up, all that kind of thing, and then out the door, heading up to Wembley to meet Brendan and Gemma and Nick and a few others near Wembley for some food before and a few drinks before going over to Wembley Arena to see Pantera. Pantera's a funny one. What I mean by that, it's felt really rare, and it felt kind of like special to do something like that again. What I mean by that is, it's rare for me to do gigs of that size anymore. It's rare for me to do gigs that are arena based. It's rare for me to kind of sort of slip into that mode where I'm going to be standing really far back, and I'm not going to see a band fully, and all these sort of silly little things like that. Because these days I do tend to just gravitate more to small to medium-sized shows. Obviously, when I talk to you here, I often tell you what shows I'm going to, what shows I've been to, and that's just what I enjoy. I'm lucky enough to have seen most of the major bands in the world, and outside of festivals now, I have very little interest in attending the big ones anymore. Not just because of the cost. Obviously, the costs for a lot of these big bands have spiraled to out of control levels, I do believe. But I can't justify spending, say, £100 on one band when that could be 10 bands at £10 a ticket, or 5 bands at £20 a ticket. You kind of get that point. That's my explanation and my excuse for why I don't do shows like this anymore. Obviously, Pantera, I've never seen them live. Now, we can get into semantics of whether or not it's Pantera or not. Obviously, 50% of Pantera is no more. But I think it's as close as you're ever going to get. And because of that, I decided I was more than happy to turn back time. A lot of people, obviously, as well, were there across all the UK shows. I was more than happy to turn back time and just go there and enjoy it. I will say Wembley Arena threatens to make it not enjoyable, though. Like, I will say there's something about that venue that I just do not like. I love the stadium. I fucking love Wembley Stadium. I really do. Every time I'm there, I always just go, oh, looking at the arch and all that. I love it. I've been into it a few times. How many times have I been to it now? Well, the last couple of years I've been in there twice for AEW. That's always been a lot of fun. And previously I've been there a long time ago for a Metallica show. But I love the stadium. I really do. I just don't really like the arena. And it's funny because even the stadium I find so much more like free and able to get a drink and enjoy it and drink what you want and all this sort of stuff. At Wembley Arena, it's such a goddamn headache. And God, the choices. It's like I went to a bar. I noticed all bars were empty, or like they were quite empty for a while. So I walked up to one and was like, I wonder why. I was like, what drinks do you serve? And it's like, oh, Coors or Madri? Was it Madri? Coors or Madri? What the hell kind of choices are those? And like, there's a real ale bar further down, and it's like, that's packed. And even then, it's not selling great drinks. But also, like, shortly after, it's run out. Or they're running out of everything. It's not a great venue for stuff like that. It's not a great venue for moving around outside of the actual arena itself. Inside, the acoustics can be well dodgy, depending upon where you are and depending upon the quality of the band. Put it this way, I thought King Parrot sounded like shit. Brendan was quite kind to them in his review, I thought. But I thought they sounded like shit. Pure mud. Pure fucking mud. Power Trip did a bit better. There were a couple of times during Pantera where the guitar kind of lost its way. But there was a bit more stronger professionalism going there. We weren't particularly close. We were about 3/4 of the way back. I was more than happy to stand back and just have a drink and enjoy hearing the song that I've been listening to all my life. Or like I certainly grew up on. I'll be honest, I don't listen to Pantera much these days, if at all. But there was a point in time where, I lived off that diet during that particular period of time. It's a band Brendan was into. I certainly believe he had Cowboys from Hell on CD, and that would have been where I first heard them. That was certainly my sort of first interest and intrigue into that band. I know they're not for everybody. I know why certain things aren't for everybody. You can get into semantics and you can get into issues. I'm a big advocate for, people can change. and people can own up to the mistakes and apologize and hopefully do better and move on and not, disappoint us all again or make us ashamed to like something and so on. I hate that even exists, that conversation even exists. And obviously there are limits. There are certainly limits to that. I'm not going to tell you should like Pantera or dislike Pantera or anything like that for whatever reason. But I certainly don't think you can kind of draw equations like to the more extreme side of things to a moment of insane stupidity once many years ago that has seen contrition and a change in the person / lifestyle as far as I'm aware anyway. I think it's unfair to do that to a certain degree. But I know there's a section of the internet, a large section of the metal scene that does that these, every single mistake a person makes is it for them. You call it, I sound like I'm talking about cancel culture and shit like that. I'm really fucking not. I hate all that nonsense. I don't buy into it. And I think there's many circumstances where, what was it this week? There was this whole social media post briefly about a woman who was kind of like, she got herself fired and it was all about sympathy and stuff like that until it kind of went that she posted online at herself doing like a salute, a certain salute. It's like, well, what do you expect? We've got a job and that job requires, it's that whole, you're messing with my freedom of speech. Freedom of speech is not freedom of consequences. For example, I work in a job where such a thing called gross misconduct happens. If I do something that would make that company, feel that I had dragged the name, damaged the name, damaged the brand, all this kind of thing, it's going to happen. Freedom of speech is not freedom of consequences, and consequences exist for a reason. But I think sometimes the equation between some really horrible shit that's done by people who have no remorse and things like that, compared to mistakes made, poor mistakes, poor decision making, dissipating stuff, and that you are lucky to still be around, or at least in a prominent place, to be given the platform you are. Then you shouldn't class them as the same. Put it that way. I guess it doesn't help that there are certain things that for certain bands and other artists, I'm not going to name any here, but who have done shitty things as well and kind of gotten away with it. There's a fairly significant band or two that we often cite on a personal level. I'm not going to tell you who it is, but just think a couple of years ago there was insanely disrespectful, horrible text messages and things that were supposedly sent between these band members involving sexism, racism and stuff like that. They just went quiet about it. Never seemingly, as far as I'm aware, apologised or owned up to it or anything like that. And everyone, or at least a large portion of the world, just kind of forgot about it. And they still tour heavily now. Headline, big venues in this country. And are still well supported around the world. That's the difference, in my opinion. That there is the difference. It's the lack of contrition. It's the lack of owning up to it. It's the lack of shame. It's the lack of, oh my God, we did a terrible thing. We were childish. We were stupid. We're so sorry. And we will learn from this and grow from this and all of that. Like that. How can you not support that? If that person who says all of that then fucks up a second time, or then it's a totally different story. But you see what I'm saying? But again, like I think there's levels to. I think there's levels to that. Obviously, if you're committing crimes, what I mean by that is severe crimes in the sense of like, the As I Lay Dying dude and things like that. It becomes a totally different story. I didn't really plan to talk about this. I don't know why I'm going off. I thought. It's just not really, I never planned, it isn't part of my list of things to talk about, but I don't know. I feel like it's like an elephant in a room when I talk about Pantera as well. It's like, I don't want it to be ignored. I am more than aware of what happened there, but I don't buy into that it's always been there kind of thing. Having pride in your southern roots is a totally different thing to being a racist, and I think that's a really, really stupid thing to equate to as well. It's one of those arguments where it just becomes an argument of lack of knowledge, and it's just, well, I saw this and I've heard this and so told me this and things like that and so on. I didn't plan to talk about this, but I know it's an elephant in the room, and I know it causes a lot of freaking debate. I've seen a lot of debate recently over the fact that David Draymond from Disturbed, of course, shockingly, and I stand by this, shockingly, signing bombs, IDF bombs that would have, of course, been used and dropped upon Palestine, proudly posting about it as well. And that's rightfully being called out. And It's not new. It's not new. I think it was from last year. I remember it from last year, but it's doing rounds now because, of course, they announced that 25 years of the sickness tour. And I saw people online equating Anselmo's moment of stupidity with this. And it's like, yeah, maybe this was a moment of stupidity from David Draymond, but I don't see an apologies and stuff like that from him. You know what I think as well? It didn't help that Phil back then tried to first play it off and make a stupid fucking goddamn excuse. A stupid reason. That certainly didn't help. If you don't like the guy, if you don't like Pantera, I think there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. There are many times where I bloody don't. There's many bands and artists who do things that I really, really don't like, that aren't even on the extreme end of things. And, you know, we just kind of shake and say, oh, for God's sake. It gets to the point now when if someone goes to, like, oh, you see a name tweeting or whatever, or, like, being tweeted, doing the rounds, whatever that is, you start to panic now. Which is it? Is it that they are dead? Or has it turned out they're a piece of shit? Because I swear to Christ, that keeps coming up more and more. And I know in this world we live in, and rightfully so, there's nowhere to hide anymore. You will not get away with the crap you've been doing. If you're an abuser, an assaulter, you're racist, you're sexist, all this kind of things, you will eventually get outed. But even in the smallest parts of the scene, someone will catch you. You will get caught. Someone will talk eventually. And that will be it. And I just hope when it happens, it's deserved. And, you know, that will be the end of you. I know several people already since I've started doing GBHBL. I know several people who were at a time where I thought, okay, this was going to be something. From a band member to even promoters who now have disappeared off the face of the planet because they got outed as being shitbags, basically. And that's a good thing, basically. But I do stand by the whole everybody's got skeletons in their closets. Not necessarily all. And I mean, I know that sounds like an extreme thing. Like, because immediately someone's going to go to me, what you're saying is calling sexual assault and rape. No, that's a fucking crime. That's fucking different. What I mean is things they might have done as a teenager that they would be ashamed of now. I have it happen. I'll look at like a post or like an old post on Facebook and when you cringe. Not because it's like bad or like nasty or like whatever, but it's just a kind of like, I used to swear a lot more on social media. Like I used to be quite a sweary person. I cringe at stuff like that because it comes across quite childish. We've all got shit like that. That's what I mean. You know, stuff that maybe you did or said when you were like 17 or 18 that you, of course, did not reflect who you are or how you've grown as a person. But you'd be mighty embarrassed or even quite ashamed if it came out now. Which is why that whole throw rocks and like glass houses statement exists. Don't be quick to throw others on the bus when you yourself, might have something that could see a certain section getting upset with you or believing it's something and not. You know, hyperbolic statements. There's quite hyperbole is a wild thing in this world. I don't know how I got to this conversation. I'm kind of rambling about it because I know it's such a complex and difficult thing to talk about. Particularly, we're talking about cancel culture here, aren't we? Because obviously it's used in such a piss poor way, normally by people who have said something really derogatory, inflammatory, however you want to say it, has said that, and then how being called out of that, and now are claiming cancel culture. I'm being cancelled because I said something racist, and now people are angry at me, or like disgusted by me, or I said something transphobic. All of the, that's where it gets used, and that unfortunately makes it a real fucking difficult thing to talk about, even from my perspective. I just hope, maybe we all just try to do the best we possibly can, try to be the best person you possibly can, and remember that just because you think something doesn't mean it has to be said. Keep that shit to yourself if you are that type of person. But inevitably, if you are such a horrible person, it will inevitably come out and you will suffer the consequences. Freedom of speech is not freedom of consequences. You can say what you want, you can do what you want, you're absolutely right. But be prepared to suffer those consequences, particularly from a professional perspective more than anything else. That's just what you got to keep in mind. And in some cases, and I guess this was all about Pantera, weren't it? You could argue that there were no eventual long-term consequences when Pantera are still touring now, and in some ways done perfectly fine out of it and stuff like that. But I go back to the same thing. What's the fucking point of showing contrition? And think about it, had anyone like that, not just using him specifically, but anyone, had we just drove him into the ground, not accepting the apology, not giving them a willingness to better themselves, to clean up their act, to clean up their lifestyle, and just be a better human being, you might push them the other way and turn them to a bitter, bitter, dangerous person who ends up becoming worse than they were before because they didn't get the contrition and the love and the open arms that say, hey, you fucked up, you're going to be punished for that. And you still are now, because there's more than a section of society that isn't willing to accept it, but willing to believe that you want to be a better person. I think, wouldn't we all want that opportunity, right? Wouldn't you? Because I know I would. I certainly would. So I'll keep that in mind. Just always put yourself and say, well, I wouldn't be that stupid. Yeah, I wouldn't be that fucking stupid. But you might be stupid about something else. I'm probably stupid about even talking about this on the camera. I'm having big regrets. I'm looking at it and going, I've done 21 minutes. Oh my God. Should I just start this again and not talk about all this stuff? But I don't know. It's supposed to be this, isn't it? It's supposed to just be talking and all that. I guess I'll sum it up like this. I enjoyed Pantera thoroughly. It's rare that sort of event ever occurs for me, so it's certainly not likely to happen again anytime soon. That'll be a one and done for me outside of a festival, I think. But I did thoroughly enjoy it, and I completely understand why for many it was never going to happen for them, regardless of what they thought or their growing up issues with Pantera. But I stand by what I say in the sense that contrition and a willingness to learn and better yourself is what should be encouraged, not derided. And you should. If you would want that for yourself, offer it to someone else. I mean, that was Tuesday basically, and then I went back to work on Wednesday into late, the 3 to 11 o'clock shifts at my lens, and that was my end of cover week, which leads me to tonight, where I'm sitting here right now recording this and already going longer than I thought. Why am I telling you about the whole week? It's because of it. Go back to what I said at the start: the lack of structure it causes and the effect that has on me. It's been a tough week. In fact, the last 2 days, I've had a lot of self-doubt creeping in. Self-doubt related to the website, self-doubt related to GBHBL, and self-doubt about what I even do. And it happens every so often. It's a combination of things. I might be running on fumes. I might be getting a bit tired. I might be struggling to get responses to emails. I might feel taken advantage of. And it all just culminates where I'm just like, what the fuck's the point of this? You know, I don't get any money for this. Any money at all. Like, well, tell a lie. Every so often there are like someone who will like chuck a coffee our way, £3-6 and all that, and that is so grateful to receive. But there's no money to be made in this. It's not a full-time. It's not a job. It's not even a full-time job. It's a fucking hobby when it comes down to it, because I have to work full-time alongside it. And thankfully, I'm in a job where I can work and balance both to a certain degree. But it is a lot of work and a lot of effort. And sometimes it feels a bit thankless. Now, I don't need to be slapped on the back and told how great I am. I don't, because I'm able to get over this at all. But when I'm tired, I'm a bit running on fumes, and it's been a busy week, and social media is hammering me with negativity, and my own stuff isn't getting viewed on there because, hey, social media fucking hates me, particularly the way we post. I don't have the time to follow everyone. Use yesterday's example, or like follow everyone to do stuff for everyone. Use yesterday's example. I'm on my way into work. I felt like I'd gone to work, right? Pretty relaxed, and I was in the zone. And then on my way in, I'm on an Elizabeth line train. I parked up somewhere else and jumped on the Elizabeth line. And I think it was around about Canary Wharf. I'm going to Whitechapel, bear in mind. And I was at Canary Wharf, and then it was like, oh my God. Consideration Fest, Damnation, Slam Dunk, Desert Fest. Everybody was like, all these things were happening at once. Well, Slam Dunk was the day before. But it all what Desert Fest was doing. It was day splits. Damnation had announced 5 bands. Consideration Fest had tidied its one up and finished its lineup. And it was like, oh my God, how do I post? What do I do? How do I follow all of this? It suddenly felt really, really stressful, as though I had to do something, even though, of course, I don't actually have to do anything. That's the whole point of it. But I want to. And suddenly I was feeling all stressed and out of whack, and I'm going into work, and like, the problem with my going into work is like, I'm taking somebody off. That person wants to go home. I can't really just be like, yeah, listen, give me 5 minutes. Even though I'm like half an hour early for my start of my shift. Once I'm there, they want to go home. And, you know, the whole point of relief base is that I'm going to take them off early. They can go home early because someone is likely to come in and take me off early too. So I don't go like, oh, give me 5 minutes while I just sort something out on my phone. It's like, yeah, off you go. And then I'm on the desk. That kind of thing. But yeah, suddenly I felt all really super stressed, and that kind of rolled on to the rest of the day where I ended up overthinking things. Like, I replied to an email, and later on, I was looking at the email and I was thinking, wait, does that come across a bit rude? Like I was being a bit dismissive. And I realised, yeah, if you read it in a certain way, you could read it that way. Now, I'm hoping the person knows me well enough. Like we've dealt with each other long enough now to know that's not me and not me at all. But it then starts, I overthinking it. And all of this is happening and all these self-doubt is creeping in. And I'm feeling like, oh, it's all just a bit pointless. And that has happened, like I said, every so often. And normally me just talking it out loud gets rid of it. So, you know, I'll call Lou and I'll talk to her and I said, I'm feeling this and I'm feeling that. And I'm not looking for validation so much as, because that isn't really going to do anything. What I'm kind of just looking for is a chance just to air my current grievances and why I'm feeling this way, I'm feeling that way, and so on. And then I kind of just shake it off. I shake it off and I move on. I'm like, okay, no, you do this because you really enjoy it. And that's what it still comes down to. You do this because you really enjoy it. And that it's more than worth it. I have come to realise I'm probably a little too kind. And what I mean by that, oh my God, that sounds terrible now. Like I'm about to stop being me. What I mean is I am a little too kind in the sense that I don't ask much. I don't ask for much at all, really. I think I told you last week or the week before that I operate on I'm going to these gigs anyway. So I am going to pay for them. I want to go to these shows, so I'm not going to be looking for freebies. I'm not waiting to a month or two beforehand for the potential hope of getting on the guest list. I'm going to do these shows, and I'm going to keep doing that. However, there are times when these shows aren't necessarily on my radar, or high enough on my radar, or that I simply can't be going to everything. So from an affordability perspective and things like that. But I wouldn't mind going. I'm going to start asking. I'm going to start reaching and saying, hey, look, we've done this for years. I've done this for this band and so on. Look, can you get me in a guest list? Like, for this show. And now it's probably not going to happen that much because I wasn't planning to go to the fucking show. I'm probably not that bothered about going to it, right? So, but there are some festivals in particular around the country that I've done a few things for and will continue to do those things for, who are quick to go, oh, yeah, hope to see you there, come along, and all that kind of thing. And it's like, well, yeah, but like I can't afford to pay for your festival, like, including all the travel and the hotel and stuff like that. So, like, if you want me to come, and I can come, or you want one of us to come from the website, like, you're going to have to give us something, give us a little bit of a nudge, that kind of thing. So if you're watching this and listening to this, and you are one of those sort of festivals, please bear that in mind. I've come to realise that, like, as much as I really want to support you all, from a financial perspective as well, I simply can't. And yeah, if you want me to come to your festival, you want us to come to your festival, you want us to do it, you might have to help us out. It's not going to happen much because, like I said before, if I'm planning to come to your festival, I'm planning to come for myself and I want to enjoy it. And it just so happens I like writing about it. So it's not like a big deal. But that's what I meant about being too kind. I mean, in the sense that, like, I'm just like, oh, well, they want me to come, so I'll pay for it myself. And it's like, no, I can't do that all the fucking time. And I think, right, I was thinking back to where this kind of thought process bore from, like my whole, oh, we don't take freebies. No, I stand by that. We don't take freebies, particularly from a lower level section of bands. That sounds bad. You know what I mean? But bands that are playing to 50 people do not need me on the guest list. If a ticket's a tenner, I can pay a tenner. But what I mean is, like, that's what I mean by don't take freebies. You know, I'm happy enough to take a press pass, a guest list attendance to some big band playing at the Roundhouse or Brixton and stuff like that, particularly if I wasn't planning to go. If I wasn't planning to go myself and it's an offer that I can do, that's where it comes in. But if I want to see these bands, I want to go. I've been offered t-shirts, I've been offered merch, I've been offered all of that. I don't like it. It makes me uncomfortable. Don't offer it to me. I don't want it. If I want a bit of your merch, I will buy it. I will buy it. But please do not offer me freebies. It's not going to happen. But I didn't always think that way when I first started off. Not that I was going looking for handouts, but I was quick back in the day to kind of reach out to festivals or reach out to certain things without really having done the groundwork. And what made me of that is it's give and take. You shouldn't really, I think, reach out to anyone, festivals, bands, whatever, going, hey, can I have this? When you've done nothing in return. So, for example, like, oh, can I go to your festival? Let's say it was Damnation. If I applied for press for Damnation and said, oh, can I come to your festival for free to do reviews? But up to that point, I had never posted a single thing about it. I had not shared or promoted or talked about it in any way, shape or form. Bit of a problem, right? So that's the give and take aspect of of this. And back when we first sort of started off, I didn't really understand it. So I reached out to a festival, a famous London one, Incineration Fest. I'm going to say who it was, because I'm still always kind of like a bit embarrassed about this. I reached out to them. This was way before I first ever attended an Incineration Fest, and just sent them an email, a contact email, and said, hi, this, that, whatever, and basically asking for press passes. Now, never got a response. And rightfully so. I've always kept it in mind going forward. Following that point, it was like, okay, I wanted to go to Incineration Fest, so I ended up paying and attending and so on. And that's been the case ever since. I love the festival. I will continue to support it from that perspective. We write a review for the band ourselves, and I still actually don't really know if Incineration Fest really do like a press. They must do, right, for photographers and stuff like that. But I certainly don't know the contact details of them, and I certainly would never reach out again. But it was a lesson learned from that. That was an early point of I was like, what went wrong there, and why, and what did I do wrong there? And I always imagine like them reading the email and going, who the fuck is this person? Because it was very, very early on where we certainly had no online presence, or at least a sense of who we are. I feel like now, hopefully, they and others at least know the name. You know, GBHBL, Games, Brains and Headbanging Life. Why do people struggle so much with that title? If I had my day, I would go back and change it. However, I don't know what I'd change it to, because even though we are like 80% music, I still adore doing horror and games and the books and all the other stuff we do. It's part of our makeup. It's what we do. And I think it rolls off the tongue. And we made it easier by abbreviating it. It's not its full title, the GBHBL, but I swear people still get that wrong all the time. Come on, people. Help me out here. Don't disrespect me. Talk about disrespect as well. Right. All you bands, and I'm calling you out, bands on Instagram who follow us, so I follow you back. And then you immediately unfollow us, right? I'm going to stop following all of you. I've noticed this has been happening a lot. It used to happen a lot back in the day, and it's started to happen a lot again recently. Don't like that. What are you doing? How childish are you? What, you want a ratio where you've got a ton of followers, but you only follow a handful, like one of the big bands? Grow up, man. Grow up. You do that, and I see you do that, you will get nothing from me, man. Absolutely nothing. I have noticed it happening. I know a few names, but what's happening now is you can follow me, but I won't follow you back. Or I check your profile first and see what kind of... And if I see you got a high, like, followers, but low follow count, you're one of them. You won't get it from me, and I will remember your name. It might sound like a small thing, but it's bugged the shit out of me recently, because I noticed it happening a lot. Yeah. Right, that's that thing. What else do I want to talk about? But yeah, all that festival news was spectacular, wasn't it? Honestly. It's March the 1st today. I'm dreaming of warm weather. I'm dreaming of the sun, and seeing the festival news. Oh, it's just so exciting, isn't it? I love one days. I love one day festivals. So when Slam Dunk's putting up its set list times, I got to sit there and I got to go through the times and try and work out. I'm going to bring it up actually to talk about some of the worst clutches in a minute. But I got to go through that. It was so exciting thinking of the sun and being outdoors. It's one of my favourite one days, purely because I've had such a great time of it every single year. And I just thoroughly dream of the sun and the beer and the outdoors and the music, the pop punk, the post-hardcore, the alternative, the punk, the indie, the emo. It's so much fucking fun. But alongside that, Incineration Fest, I love that festival as well, even though it's all indoors. And Damnation is a long way away, but honestly, my experience of it in November last year was so memorable that I can't wait for it to come back. Desert Fest, I don't go to it enough, but I'm hoping to get to that this year as well. God, I love one days. Well, the Desert Fest is 3 days, actually. But you know what I mean? It's like a one-day festival 3 times. Slam Dunk, right? So they're the first one that actually put up its stage times, so you can actually do your own personalised schedule. It was a disaster. I did a little story about it on Instagram, and it was a fucking mess. But I then went back to it and I've been sensible, and I've attempted to narrow it down to realistically what I will see and what I'm capable of seeing. Now, of course, this won't necessarily apply because of stage distance, who I'm with, and sometimes, you know, you're there and you're like, you know what, I'm just going to stay here. I've got a beer, I've got some food, I'm going to watch the band play this stage rather. But I'm hoping to start the day off with Defects. Then I'm looking at doing Dream State, Knuckle Puck, Imminence, first Harsh Clash, right? Movements or Landmarks. That's really fucking hard. I've seen Landmarks a few times, never seen Movement, so I don't know what I'm going to do there. Hoping to catch a bit of Rain City Drive, but they clash heavily with Stray from the Path, and I'm probably going to go see Stray from the Path. After that, I might check out some Zebra Head, but I may likely get some food that around that point, and then get myself ready for Graphic Nature. Graphic Nature ends and the Used start. I'm going to go over to the Used. Then we have Less Than Jake and Neck Deep clashing. That's a difficult one because that's basically nostalgia versus a band I've never seen live before. I'm going to call it on the day. But both of them clash with Electric Callboy. And we all know Electric Callboy is basically the band that I've got the most anticipation of seeing at Slam Dunk. After that, I might go watch a little bit of an Alkaline Trio before watching a bit of A Day to Remember. And that's kind of where I'm at. Still got clashes in it. Do you see what I'm saying? I've still got clashes in it. It's going to be a crazy day. I cannot wait, though. I'm dreaming of the summer. Aren't you? It's a little bit sunny right now, but it's still a chill in the air. Driving home last night, it was 2 degrees when I got to my car. 2 bloody degrees at February 28th. I know it's still February, and I know we're still on GMT, we're not even on BST. That's not to the end of the month. But I'm dreaming of it. Today is like a starting gun to a degree. Not quite, but like myself and Lou, we're in that, what do they call it? Stirrups? You know when you're like posing to start running? That thing, whatever the fuck that is. We're like almost set up in that. We're kind of still warming up, but we're ready to get down on our hands and knees and start racing off to our bigger plan of this year. And I can't wait. It's all kind of happening around summertime, alongside all the fantastic stuff that we've got planned event-wise and party-wise and birthday-wise and stuff like that. It's going to be so great. It's been a great month. We're reflecting on February. It's been a great month. I bored you shitless last week with my Million Gamer Score talk. And I'm still playing and enjoying games. I haven't watched much horror and done much of that this throughout February because I haven't really had the time. But I'm about to go at night, so I should have lots of time to watch some new, fresh horror. Looking forward to that. I've got a few movies in the watch list that I want to check out. Yeah, now it's just counting down to the next big thing. I actually got a couple of weeks off from gigs. There won't be really anything until the end of March. As of right now, if opportunities arise, cool. But yeah, I think the next one's going to be Dope Throne, which is awesome because it's got Praetorian and Wallowing on that bill as well, and Horse Called War. That is going to be a killer fucking gig. And that kicks off another fun little set of things. All right, we'll be at nearly 40 minutes. I feel like that's decent length. All right, I've rambled a lot. This has felt like an old school one, going back to the early days of where it's been anything and everything. You got any thoughts on what I talked about here? You know what to do? Let me know in the comments. Thank you very much for watching. If you've enjoyed what you've seen, please consider hitting that like and subscribe button. It does help us out. You can find us at gbhbl.com and across all social media platforms. And if you really want to give us a bit of extra support, please consider buying us a cup of coffee over on our coffee page. Thank you.